You probably think you are in full control of your life, but all of your choices, your successes, and even your daily routines are being driven by a hidden operating system working quietly in the background. Think about the last time you drove home from work. You didn't actively calculate every single rotation of the steering wheel, or think about exactly how hard to press the brake for a red light. You just did it. Psychologists often model the human mind like this iceberg. The tiny 5% above the water is your conscious mind, the logical voice in your head making decisions. But that massive block of ice hidden beneath the surface is your subconscious mind, processing nearly 95% of your daily actions on autopilot. Your conscious mind sets logical targets, like deciding you want to build wealth, but your subconscious actually controls the deep-rooted habits required to get there. And if those two systems are misaligned, the larger, heavier part of your mind will drag you off course. When you fail to stick to a new habit, it rarely has anything to do with a lack of willpower. It is simply a direct conflict between what you consciously want and what your autopilot is programmed to do. So where does this programming come from? Your subconscious has been recording unfiltered data since the day you were born. It runs on legacy code built entirely from the beliefs, experiences, and passing comments you absorbed as a child. If you grew up listening to your parents argue at the kitchen table, repeatedly saying things like, "making money is hard," or "rich people are greedy," your mind recorded those statements as absolute facts. Decades later, when you try to ask for a raise or start a business, a hidden part of your brain actively resists the effort. It creates immediate physical friction because generating wealth violates the rules it was given. Your brain isn't trying to sabotage your success. It is merely executing an outdated set of factory instructions with perfect, unquestioning obedience. This automated system has a biological loophole. Your subconscious mind is physically incapable of telling the difference between a real external event and something you vividly imagine. To prove this, picture a lemon sitting in your hand. Imagine slicing it open. See the bright yellow juice bursting out. Smell the sharp citrus. And now, imagine taking a massive bite. Your mouth is probably watering right now. This reflex proves that your autopilot accepts sensory imagination as a valid command for the body. Because the subconscious handles physical responses based on these internal images, we can use that same mechanism to feed it new instructions for our habits and behaviors. Overwriting your old code requires 3 strict steps. The first is feeding your mind believable commands. Saying, "I am a millionaire," when your bank account is empty, triggers immediate rejection from your brain. But saying, "I am getting better at managing my money every single day," is progressive. Your mind accepts it as a plausible reality. The second step requires intense, high-definition visualization. You have to exploit the same biological loophole we used with the lemon, forcing your brain to experience the exact physical sensations of achieving your goal. Long before he was a recognized name, Jim Carrey wrote himself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered. He kept it in his wallet, looking at it constantly and visualizing the precise feeling of cashing it, heavily mapping his brain to that exact outcome years before he actually signed a $10 million movie deal. To inhabit the Joker, Heath Ledger isolated himself in a hotel room for weeks, maintaining a detailed diary in the character's voice and adopting the persona's physical mannerisms until his brain accepted the behavioral shifts as default. But visualization without action is useless. The third and final step is physical validation. If you are trying to rewrite your code for confidence, you have to start taking small, tangible steps that a confident person would take, physically proving to your subconscious that the new reality is happening. It takes this exact combination: plausible language, high-definition sensory imagination, and immediate physical follow-through to successfully compile a new set of mental instructions. Even with the perfect patch installed, most people still fail. They do the work, see a little progress, and then they allow a temporary external setback to trigger a massive relapse. Imagine spending weeks building a wealthy mindset, only to have your car break down. The stress hits, and you immediately think, "I can never catch a break. I'm always struggling with money." By falling back on that familiar complaint during a moment of friction, you instantly signal to your subconscious that the new programming was a lie, and the old scarcity mindset is still the absolute truth. To prevent a total system reset, you have to act as a firewall. You must remain loyal to your new beliefs, entirely refusing to react like the old version of yourself, especially when things go wrong. Once that firewall is holding, you lock in the new code using 3 final techniques. The first is relentless repetition. Your subconscious mind learns through constant, daily exposure. Muhammad Ali repeatedly told everyone he was the greatest long before he held a championship belt. He hammered that single idea into his mind so many times that his brain had no choice but to concede and accept it as fact. The second technique is applying a strong emotional charge. Think about how a moment of deep embarrassment sticks with you for years, while a mundane conversation is forgotten in minutes. Because the subconscious prioritizes events linked to high arousal, attaching intense feeling to a new goal signals to the brain that this information is critical for survival, making it stick. Finally, you must strictly control your environment. If you expose your mind to a constant stream of negative news or cynical people, that ambient noise will passively corrupt your new software. By combining targeted language, sensory visualization, and a controlled environment, you transition from running on accidental legacy code to operating on a system you've intentionally designed.